face recording another album and doing another tour, so he left in March 2001.
It took 7 years to get over it. And I'm not the same person. I didn't recover to be the same kind of person, have the same kind of energy as I did before I got sick. So it did completely change me.
Alex Lee joined pretty much as soon as Neil left, and I loved working with Alex, but we were kind of a sinking ship by this point.
You mourning, God?
A slow, painful death.
Musically, we were done. We'd run out of inspiration. We really had.
Even though I made it in a very clean state, it was still the shadow of addiction was very, very present. And it felt like I was imbalanced. It was a sort of seesaw that kind of like the mirror image of it almost, you know, the kind of all the darkness is sort of turned into some sort of like ersatz kind of positivity, and it just didn't work at all. And I do disown that record. Unlike Head Music. I wish we'd never made it. I wish we'd never made that record.
We're in the ICA because we played 5 nights here in September 2003.
We came here and we played all of our albums so far, which wasn't as much of a cliche as it is now, I don't think.
I remember pushing this through because I was, at the back of my mind, I was thinking that we hadn't really got long left, to be honest. And I wanted to do something that was had a sort of retrospective feel, that kind of closed, that sort of closed the book, as it were. Because I suppose I wanted to celebrate our career, really, more than anything. I wanted to sort of say, well, you know, the album that we just released was a disaster, but it wasn't always that way, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's down to, essentially, it's down to my life spiraling out of control that disaster struck. You know, I think it was my addictions that meant that I didn't care enough about the band anymore, to be honest, and that's an absolute tragedy, that I didn't care enough about the band, and I lie awake still regretting that now. I think it's a terribly terribly sad thing, and I sort of apologise deeply for that, and when you're addicted to substances, you know, nothing else matters. And that's such a sad thing that I didn't realise that.
I think it would have happened anyway.
Yeah, possibly.
I think it's just the nature of Suede to push things a little too far. You know,
yeah.
It had always worked for us, and we were too young to know that you can break things like that.
It was only a few weeks after these shows that you dropped the bombshell at the Graham Norton show, of all places.
When it came to the Graham Norton show and the decision was made and we had that meeting, for a split second it was a surprise and a nasty shock to hear that we were splitting up. But then immediately afterwards I thought, I should have seen that coming.
And I was pissed off that we didn't talk about it and Brett suddenly decided to tell us at the Graham Norton show.
Yeah.
I think I was a bit pissed off that you said split up. The word split up is so different from saying taking a break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just like final. It was a final thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it to be final.
Yeah.
I certainly wanted a break, but I didn't want it to be final.
I can't remember what I said.
You said it's over for Suede. Those
Did
were
I?
your words.
I thought I said something like, I can't do this anymore.
You said, I think it's over for Suede.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay, did I?
Yeah, and then, so that for me meant splitting up.
I can always tell when you see a band that
And I
got
was quite
together
proud that we actually said, no, we're going to split up. I think sort of so many more bands should split up.
And here's a list.
You know?
And here's a list.
Did you think Suede would be formed at that time?
No.
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 What's in the camera? That was fucking brilliant. Can't really say further than that.
That was fucking brilliant. That was like the best gig ever.
I think it possibly was, actually.
What about After Metal Mickey?
What was that? What was that? That was insanity. That's never happened, surely.
We haven't finished yet.
I had no intention of reforming Suede for many, many, many years. And then the Teenage Cancer Trust called us up and asked us if we wanted to do a show. And I just thought, why not?
Good evening. We're Suede.
So I called Matt first.
Literally, if you'd said to me, do you want to reform Suede? I would have said no. But he just called up and said, look, the Teenage Cancer Trust have asked us to play the Albert Hall. And it just felt like, oh, this could end it. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like a beginning in any way. It felt like this is the end that it should have had.
Richard was the only member of the band that had reservations.
You know, the idea of opening any old wounds was kind of scary, even up to the actual gig. So I wasn't thinking beyond that show at all.
Yeah, I think we were all in agreement that
it was just going to be one gig and then leave it and have this sort of like, whoa, you know, kind of thing, and then just walk away again.
And there was something really cool about doing something that was going to cost us a load of money. Give money to a good cause and then disappear. You know, I think there was a part of me that thought, no one can say we did this for the wrong reasons.
And there's very much a sense that we got off stage, well, that was too good not to do again. It was so important to try and sort of re-establish ourselves as a creative force again. Not to be one of those bands that was part of the nostalgia circuit, you know.
Where the band lost its way, we kind of stopped making music that sounded like Suede. And I think since we got back together, we've learnt how to do that again. And I think we can trust ourselves to make that kind of music now.
With the Blue Hour, we've come to a point where we just know what our strengths are.
At the moment, we're in production rehearsals somewhere in Bedford Way. We've got all the sound sorted out, and we just want to go out and play it now. And that's my sort of favourite part of any album that we release is the initial sort of.
Not those 5 days of hard work spent actually recording it that you did.
Three days of hard work.
Can I just point out, me and Richard and Neil spent a year and a half writing it. Simon flies in for 5 days.
Wow, you know.
We've relearnt how to make a record together, and I think it's quite contrary to the way most bands work. With these last 3 albums, especially the Blue Hour, we've kind of always been in the room together, me, Richard and Brett, and it's something very fresh about that.
We've had to learn to almost like